Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
How you kids doing? Asshole Consulting. Man, we had a lot of requests. I took a weekend off, and all of a sudden, blammo. I'm like, It's good to be employed. Aaron, hope you're doing well. An update and an advice request. I'm moving to the Green Valley section of Henderson in early September. Okay, I kind of know where that is. Pretty close to the Green Valley Ranch Casino and District area. Weather should be cooled down slightly by then, and I'll be in a lease until the end of April 2019 for a 2-bedroom apartment. So you're moving September, and you're there, so what, 6-7 months? You'll get a good feel for Vegas. So this would be a test run to see if I like Vegas for the long term. It's geographically convenient, only a 4-hour drive to LA where my family is, and a 7-hour drive to the Bay Area where my company's HQ is. And don't forget, cheap-ass flights out of Vegas. This is one of the most undersold things about Vegas, is that because of all the traffic coming in and the casinos want you there, I think, heck, Bally's bought an airline. The flights in and out of Vegas are cheap, but people think that's to visit Vegas. Well, that also is the reverse true for you flying back home or visiting people or having people come to visit you. Vegas is dirt cheap for flights. So that's another huge reason why I'm inevitably going to move out there and why I winter down there over at my buddy's place. And then people could come visit me. It's not that hard. I think I've had more people visit me in Vegas than they have Minneapolis, on a part because, well, duh, who wants to go to Minneapolis? But the flights are a lot cheaper as well. I noticed that the cost of renting a 3-bedroom house was of similar cost to renting a studio in the nice part of downtown Portland, Oregon. Yep, the housing market in Vegas seems very affordable to the West, even with the market doing well and prices increasing. Yeah, I'm still, Vegas, remember they had a huge buildup in supply. They got hammered by the housing market. So it wasn't until 2013, even 2014, that housing prices started to recover a little bit. And now they're growing rather quickly. But I'd have to pull the numbers up, but they are building a lot now too. So that could lead to, well, you'd think that would lead to a tapering down on housing prices. But still, compared to some national places, especially downtown Portland or any place in California, oh yeah, it's dirt cheap compared to that. Dirt cheap. So I think there's enough supply going in that's going to keep housing prices pretty low as well. My request for advice is about the Vegas housing market and home ownership in general. I've never owned a home, always rented apartments and lived in hotels for work. But if it makes sense to buy a 2- or 3-bedroom house with a 1 or 2 bathrooms and pay it off in 5 to 10 years or hopefully less, does that make sense? My concerns are the hidden costs of owning a home in the Vegas market in general. I remember Vegas was hit particularly hard during the 2008 crash, but I'm not educated enough on the subject of home ownership to know if that fact is relevant for today's market. It is and it isn't. If you're going to borrow money to pay for it, or you need to borrow a lot and you can only make the minimum payment, that's one thing. If you're paying it off in 5 to 10 years, that's another thing. Plus, if you said you're working in the Bay Area, now you got to start throwing in taxes. From a real estate analytical perspective, yes, the property may not be worth it. You might have a negative net present value projected on that property. But if in moving you save $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a year, well, go to Vegas, young man. And I know a guy who works in Silicon Valley, and he split town, and now he's in Vegas too. And he's like, forget this. And he saves more in taxes than his mortgage payment. It's just because, and there's no state income, so you're not paying. I don't know if you pay local, you probably do. You certainly pay taxes on sales and gas and all that other stuff. But his state tax alone more than pays for his mortgage. So if you're coming from a rank communist, tax you up the ass, have us give you one of your testes as the testy tax type of level taxation like California, you got to factor in your income taxes because, my God, it could probably pay for the property itself. And the fact that you're paying it off in 5 to 10 years, okay, that means you're higher income and it's going to be more of a consumer good in terms of like, do you want to live in this house? That's really what it's going to boil down to. And that then you're not really looking at it from a rental property perspective. You're looking at it from, okay, what's the mortgage cost? What's the property tax cost? What's the maintenance cost? And ultimately, do I want to live here for that price? And I think compared to California, it's going to be dirt cheap no matter which way you look at it. So to do a traditional housing analysis, like where I'd look, should this commercial bank lend the money to these developers or this property management firm to go ahead and do this? Well, that's a different question than should a really well-off-to-do guy who's currently living in the highest tax state in the country move to Vegas? Like, yeah, you probably should. My concerns are the hidden cost of owning a home in the Vegas market in general. Remember, Vegas having it hit particularly hard at the 2008 crash. But I'm not educated on the subject of home ownership to know if that fact is relevant to today's market. If you plan to live there in the long term, I wouldn't say it's irrelevant what the price is, but compare to what you got to pay in rent. Look at your property tax, your income taxes you'd save switching to a Las Vegas, Nevada resident, and see if that makes sense. And if you just if you like Vegas, which I'm pretty sure you are, I could be wrong, don't want to force you, you're going to want to live there. And then maybe not that house you're renting, and maybe there's a new development going on. But then it's like, okay, well, this is the price to live here. And Vegas has pretty affordable housing. That doesn't mean the price can't go down again in the future. That doesn't mean there won't be a financial crisis, and all of a sudden your house will be worth half of what it used to be. You don't care. You want to live in Las Vegas. I had a house I bought kind of near the peak, and it went down to about, I'd say 60% of its value. Now it's back above the peak. I didn't care. I lived in the town of the WBL that I wanted to live in. And I could afford the cash flow. I could afford the payment. I know a lot of people say, don't look at payment, but I wasn't looking at this like a turn and burn thing. I was like, I want to live here. And I also want to get out of Minneapolis. If anyone of your advice is helpful to others, please do a video request. I made the payment. Let me know if that works or if more is needed. No, I will tell you this, though. Let's talk about the property ownership of Las Vegas. Now, I have an arrangement with a guy that I basically could crash at his place anytime I want because he's not there all the time, and the house needs to be looked after and looked upon. You are going to be fighting the heat and electric costs. That's the main thing. The heat is going to take a toll on your building, particularly the paint. So you're going to be painting a lot. Any kind of plastic or rubber, you're going to have to armor all the hell out of it. If you got a pool, that's a whole other nightmare in maintenance that you got to deal with. I'd recommend maybe not having a pool, getting into an association that has a pool that you can use at any time, not having your own private pool. I've learned to work on pools. I'm officially a pool boy. The second most important thing is the heat in terms of how it's going to affect your electrical costs. If you can, the best way to handle that is to leave for summer, right? Turn off your electricity, turn off your air conditioning, and just leave for summer. Go work remotely. Go visit your folks. Go up north. Go travel. That's the best way to do it. It's not necessary or vital if you get yourself a smallish house. You're looking at $200 to $300 during the months of June, July, and August. But what this also brings up is you want to have your house very well insulated. And so, because a lot of people think insulation is to retain the heat, it's also to retain the cool and keep the heat out. So you're looking at caulking, almost oddly enough, the same thing I got to do up here in Minnesota. You're always caulking cracks in the foundation, cracks in walls, anything that just you want to keep all your heat in. Vegas is the same thing. You want all your coolness kept in. So that's one thing you have to do. If you leave remotely, you can have the remote thermostat on your phone. That's an absolute must. And the other thing with Las Vegas is everything's HOA. It's all HOA. There's properties you can buy that isn't part of an HOA, but all the new stuff, and some medium old stuff, all HOA. Now, a lot of the HOAs, though, a lot of those fees go to cover other stuff that would normally be paid for by your property taxes. So it's not exactly a stabbing, but like your water will probably be paid for, your garbage and sewer and recycling would be paid for. So you got to keep that in mind that you're not paying that stuff on your property taxes. You're paying that through your HOA, so do the math there. And then finally, I had a little buddy in the toilet. It was a scorpion. And I've only seen 2 scorpions in the house. And this house is relatively new, and I cocked the living hell out of it. I don't know if you listen to my podcast. I have told the woes and the stories in the battle of me versus the scorpions down in Henderson. But these are almost exclusively Arizona bark scorpions. And they're only the most poisonous in North America. I was like, really? Like, oh my God, is this dangerous? And they're like, nah, scorpions, they're just like bees. Yeah, they're scary and they hurt, but unless you're allergic, you're fine. Except the Arizona bark scorpion, then you're fucked. And then you look at them like, ah, crap, it's an Arizona bark scorpion. Like, what are the symptoms? And frothing at the mouth, paralysis, seizure, nausea and vomiting. It doesn't sound fun at all. So that is something that you really want to be on. And kind of a way you can avoid that is you don't want to live in a place where there's palm trees, because that's where they kind of hide, and they came in. They originally didn't exist in Las Vegas. They came in from Arizona through palm trees, they speculate. And you don't want to be right at the edge of a brand new development, because now you're going into the scorpion and rattlesnakes territory and other fun creatures out there. The new construction is good enough that it's almost airtight. You don't have to worry about scorpions getting in. Now, like I said, it was very rare, but it happens. It happens. So I have been incredibly, what's the word? Not resilient. Resilient too, but thorough in my battle against the scorpions. You're going to want to get cedar oil. You're going to want to get Psychic. It's a spray. You're going to want to get boric acid poured around on a perimeter. You're going to get a black light. You're going to go out every night and look for those motherfuckers. And you're going to kill them. And then you just, if you're gone for 3 weeks, 3 months, heck, you're gone for a week, you got to come back to a very thorough sweep at night looking for scorpions. Keep a very clean house, no clutter, no garbage. Keep a very clean garage. You just don't want to give them any quarter at all. So that's that for home ownership and maintenance. So like you should go ahead. I mean, you'll be living. I wouldn't worry about necessarily doing a financial analysis or economic analysis of Las Vegas. All right. I want you to live there first. See if you want to live there for the rest of your days. And if that's the case, south of Henderson is a real nice development called Anthem going in. You're going to want to avoid the east and north side like the plague. On the west side, over by the Red Rock Canyon and Casino, there's a town called Summerlin. That's a very nice development as well. Some development going on there. The whole southwest side along Highway 160, that's the road you take out to Pahrump. That's new, a little bit cheaper. Things are going in there. Along the I-15 highway going out to Las Vegas, there's some new development going on out there. That's nice as well. It basically you avoid north and east, and you're going to be okay. But I would not necessarily have home ownership be your first worry or concern while you're in Las Vegas. I would see if Vegas is for you. Don't bother with the Strip. Go to the Strip, get out of your system, go. And you'll be like, well, this is boring. You'll find out nobody in Vegas goes to the Strip who lives there permanently. And I'll get into hiking. I do Golden Spike. You're going in the perfect time. That's when it's not super hot outside. And I'd pick up golf. I'd pick up golf if I were you. There's some nice golf courses out there in Henderson. Nice ones. Some of them are pricey, but I go to the cheap municipal ones because I'm a cheap bastard. You can go to Boulder City, too. They got some cheap ones out there, too, if you're willing to drive. I would also then consider maybe getting a motorcycle, because what you're going to find with Vegas is, even though it's only 4 hours away to LA and it's only that many hours to this way or that many hours to that way, you're going to want to explore the area anyway a little bit, and it's got some really great motorcycling rides. Not the best, it's not as good as Arizona, but you're going to need something to do to get out of town. You get a little bit stir crazy. And if you can really get bored, you just hop on a flight and go. I mean, you could go down to McCarran International Airport. I haven't done standby in a while, but you can fly flights out for, hey, round trip to Denver, $70. Hell yeah, go Sun Country. So that would end. Now let me just go over that. Never owned a home, always rented. It doesn't make sense to buy a 2 or 3 bedroom house with 1 or 2 bathrooms and pay it off in 5 to 10 years. Yes, and I would even say a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house. You'd say, well, why that much? I'm just a bachelor. You can Airbnb things out in Vegas, and you can have roommates if you buy, especially near casinos or near a tourist area. The hotels are stabbing people now with parking. You used to be able to park for free in Vegas. You used to be able to get free dinner practically and free drinks. Now they're all cutting down on that. So you got to pay. And they're also doing these resort fees, which nobody asked for. It's like an extra $35. So there's a rather large market for Airbnb. So if you got an extra bedroom or two and you want to rent it out, that's a nice way to subsidize your income there. I know you may not be there, you may be traveling around a little bit, but if you're there, that's definitely something that you might want to consider. So, not that you look at it strictly from a rental property, you would definitely look at it from a place to live, but if you want to raise a little bit of money and you have a spare bedroom, shoot, put it on Airbnb or your buddies come in or something like that. My buddy makes pretty good money. In case you're renting out the room. Now, here's another thing, though. You're gonna make sure that the HOA allows you to do Airbnb. Some of them won't. So you gotta take a look at that. Make sure in that. But I would go for, not a huge house, but yeah, a 3 bedroom. Maybe you have a den. You got your regular room, a study office, and then a spare bedroom. It's one of the few towns that having a spare bedroom would make a little bit of sense. And that's the other thing. Let me go back up to your... Aaron, thanks for your reply. I want to know how much you make. You make approximately $200,000 a year, of which the state of California and the federal government allow you to keep half. Video request, please. Here's a link to your first personal finance. Takes extra money and get yourself some drinks. What did I charge you? I only charged you $37. Pay me $75. Well, thank you very much. That's awesome. Hang on. Let's just look this up now. California income tax brackets. Let's take a look. Okay, you're in the $200,000 range. California married jointly. California single. 10%. 10% of 200,000. That's 20,000. Divided by 12. You're practically in the same situation as my buddy. That's $1,600 a month you'd be saving in income taxes. That's a mortgage payment. That's a mortgage payment. The price is almost moot. I mean, no, it's not almost moot, but for the prices of average home, what's the average home in Vegas going for? $260,000. Mortgage calculator. Let's say you're gonna put $60,000 down because you got the money. Let's just say $946 a month principal and interest at basically 4%. You throw in your HOAs and all that. Just moving from California, you get a free house. There, how's that? Move from California to Las Vegas, you get a free house. That. You could afford a pretty nice house, actually. All right. That's it. You guys got questions? Cappy's got answers. AssholeConsulting.com. Look out for those scorpions if you go to Las Vegas, and we'll see you guys all later. Toodles.